Hello, friends. We welcome you to the Legal Breeze. Today, we will be discussing a very important topic off and on. It's not off and on, it is generally and largely a neglected area. What is that area or what is the topic? The topic is the rights of the sex workers. The moment I say people may look down upon me, what is this gentleman is talking about? There is a stigma. But in reality, we always follow double standards. For one set of justice or one set of rules, particularly on the sexual orientation, sexual behavior, sexual autonomy to men, and concept of sexual autonomy to women. Till recently in Joseph Shiny case, when the Honorable Supreme Court of India has successfully and rightly decriminalized this adultery, 497 of IPC, this concept was prevailing almost legally, it was accepted. For the first time, the Supreme Court is able to demolish it, affirming the constitutional right and the fundamental right of sexual autonomy to the womanhood for the first time in this country. Certainly, it's a very welcomeable step. What is this sexual autonomy? People should go back a little further. Sovereignty of one's own body, mind, and soul is purely and exclusively within the domain of a particular individual. State has no right to regulate it. Though you may have a doctrine called permanent sovereignty over natural resources, but certainly human resources or human genetic resources is excluded from all this international law of regulations relating to the natural resources. But is it really affirmed? No. The moment you talk about prostitution, so this is prevailing elsewhere, right from ancient era. But what about the human origin life? The institution of marriage came to be at a very later stage in the human civilization. Even then, it was matriarchal when it was originating. Even today in Kerala, people call it as a matriarchal system rather than patriarchal system. This patriarchal mindset has caused huge impact about sexual autonomy of women, unfortunately. Now you may ask me why one should study this, particularly the civil service aspirant. This topic is very much important for you on the fundamental rights side, that is on the polity, general papers, GS papers, essays, including ethics. This is very important. You cannot have one standard for men and another standard for women on this particular issue is concerned. Even I have come across some police officers have told me, DGP level officers, that they have arrested even a male prostitute. But this number is very, very meager. Largely, the plight of the sex workers have been explained in some novels, poems, literature. But we all read it and we simply ignore it. I would like to take you to a very barbaric case, but Honorable Supreme Court of India has given a very right, a historic landmark ruling, but however, it's not being followed both in letter and spirit, unfortunately. Let me take you to this particular case is concerned. The title of the case law is known as Buddha Dev Karmas versus State of West Bengal. This is in the year 2011. See what a nice name, Buddha Dev. Buddha is a name which everybody should remember. He said that the desire is the root cause of ruining for all these things, or sorrow for all these things. This man goes into a red light area located in Calcutta. He gets into intercourse with the sex worker. We do not know whatsoever reason, he is causing injury to the woman on various parts of her body, kicks her and the lady falls down. Thereafter he pulls up her hair and puts her head upon this nearby wall, hitting it, and thereby she is keeping bleeding, getting bleeded from her nose, ears and etc. But he was ruthlessly and barbarically attacking her. And her inmates, when they raised alarm, he simply went away, escaped from the scene. Later on, complaint has been launched, and before the body is getting, before the girl is getting, the victim is getting to the hospitalization, she has been, at the time after hospitalization, it has been declared that she has been found dead on the way to the hospital. The postmortem report affirms that she has died because of this brutal injury, barbaric injury committed upon her body by this accused. And fortunately, in this case, both the trial court and high court has convicted him for the life sentence. Please remember, he should have been given death sentence, but whatsoever reasons we do not know, the court has not given the death sentence. It could have been given the rarest of rare category, but we do not know whatsoever reason. But in appeal, the Supreme Court has not only confirmed the life imprisonment, it has taken certain suo motu action. Like Vishaka guidelines, I think they have given certain guidelines in this particular case. Maybe if necessary, I will go through it in detail. I will come back and present a separate video for you later on. In this particular case, the Supreme Court has categorically mandated both the center and the states to formulate an appropriate, effective scheme for the rehabilitation of these sex workers. Instead of we treating them as victims, many a time the legal system treats them as criminals. Unfortunate. To be poor is not a crime. Poverty is not a crime. But what is happening to these girls? Just because they have entered into sex work, have they lost their citizenship? Have they lost their human status? One should think of it. They are treated worse than a cattle. Very unfortunate. Though we have abolished slavery, we have abolished untouchability, I think I need to salute Dr. D.Y. Chandrachudji, the Honorable Judge of the Supreme Court of India. The untouchability is not only against the caste, has been eliminated by our constitution. It has been banned and abolished in all its forms and manifestation. That includes gender and all other forms. Please remember the following international instruments. This is very important. The first instrument all of you should remember is that there is a convention called Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. The term all forms of discrimination is noteworthy here. So is it not a form of discrimination based on their sexual orientation or just because they enter into all these things? Certainly. So there shall be a framework. The international law demands it. India is a party to this. Please remember that. And there is another convention called Convention of the United Nations Convention on the Transnational Organized Crimes. Convention against Transnational Organized Crimes. And there are 3 protocols under this particular convention is concerned. This convention is known as a protocol relating to the prevention of trafficking of women and children and rehabilitation of them. This particular convention has come into operation, if I am not wrong, by 2003. India is a party to this. Thank God, the government of India has recently come out with an important bill relating to the prevention of trafficking, and there is, the title itself indicates the rehabilitation of these victims. To what extent the rehabilitation mechanism is efficient and the efficacy of the mechanism needs to be checked. But I would like to appeal to all our listeners and viewers, write to the government to effectively first to decriminalize this sex workers, particularly when they wanted to take up sex as a profession voluntarily. That's very important. Though the minors cannot be allowed for this, when they wanted to, because this has been started practicing in certain countries. Some countries have successfully decriminalized, particularly common law countries, some of them, and some countries even went on to legalize it. So I don't suggest anything, but certainly decriminalization is the first step. Legalization can be looked into later, because we need to understand the nitty-gritties. Otherwise, this may also be misused, because those studies shows that even in the countries where legalization has been done, but women are not willing coming forward. They are not willingly coming forward to register themselves, because they believe even then they may be subjected to abuse, torture and other things. But we need to study. A law commission may be asked to study all these things. One of the mandate can be given, reference can be given. I hope the legislation will effectively address this problem, but we need to write to this particular committee. And if the legislation is not done in such a direction, I hope the Honorable Supreme Court, it's the very right time that the Honorable Supreme Court steps into the shoes and fulfilling its constitutional obligation and mandate that these voiceless people are getting their constitutional recognition and entitlement, including the right to dignity, most important and valuable right enshrined under Article 21. We hope we will witness such a day sooner rather than later. God bless you all. Jai Hind.